Okay. All right. Real quick, I want to go over some review stuff over from last meeting or lecture notes. I have to go through this kind of quick because I only have 15 minutes with you because YouTube's being dumb. The four main functions of your digestive system again is to ingest food, eat it, break food down for food nutrients and molecules so you can get them for your cells, absorb molecules into your body system, into your circulatory system, and rid body of ingestible remains, basically stuff that you cannot use. So after you have taken food in, food processing, there are four parts to that as well. They go from ingestion, obviously eating food, digestion, actually breaking it down into nutrients, and then absorption, taking them and the nutrients to your cells, and then egestion, which is the removing of leftover waste that you cannot use. Okay, and those are the four main things for food processing, and these are the four main for digestion system and what they do. Okay. Now I want to continue where we left off at the end of the last chapter when I started talking about teeth and what they do. Now, once you have mushed up your food in your mouth, once you swallow it, it's going to go down your throat and into your esophagus. Now, once it's in your esophagus, you probably don't realize this, but basically your esophagus will move in an action known as parasalus. Okay, this is basically a wave motion of your esophagus. So we all know what a wave looks like in terms of the ocean. So picture this tube right here moving, basically undulating up and down in that sort of motion to get your food down towards your stomach. Okay, because gravity does not play a role in, well, it does play a role, but not nowhere near as big a role as this. Okay. Basically, they're muscular contractions in your esophagus, forcing your food or pushing it down towards your stomach. Okay, to enter the stomach, your food must pass through it's a sphincter in your stomach. So if you're looking at your stomach right here, where it connects to your stomach, there's an opening right there that they call a sphincter. It's got to move through that muscular opening. The reason why there's a sphincter there or a muscular opening is so that stomach acid can't go shooting back up into your esophagus. Okay, which is very important, obviously. Okay. Now, the inside of your stomach, I'm going to do my best to draw this. You know how my drawings usually go. Oh my God, that's a beautiful stomach. Okay, so this is your esophagus right here. Here's your stomach. Inside of your stomach, you have like these wrinkles or little ridges. They're big, basically muscular pouches, which turns your food and mixes it into your gastric juice to help you digest it. And this digestive juice is a mixture of stomach acid, mucus, and other enzymes that are made throughout your body. Okay, but yeah, it has these little muscular sort of indentations or rib-like structures. Okay. Now, the acid in your body does more than just digest food. It kills off any invading bacteria that you may come in contact with, or viruses that might be on your food or that may come in contact with the inside of your stomach. The enzymes that are inside your stomach also help break down proteins and lipids. Proteins are obviously, you all know what proteins are. They're chains of carbon, essentially. And lipids, we're talking about waxes, fats, stuff like that. The mucus produces in the lining of the stomach form being eaten away by the acid. So mucus protects your lining of your stomach because you don't want to be digesting the inside of your stomach. So you have a mucus inside that lines the inside of your stomach for when digestion happens. Okay, very important. Okay, so inside your stomach you have acid, you have enzymes, and you have mucus. Okay, and I went over acid obviously digests either bacteria or acids that come into play, or digest your food. Enzymes Um, help you break down proteins and lipids. Mucus helps protect the inside or the lining of your stomach. Okay, very important. Your stomach does do some absorption of molecules as well. Some medicines, water, alcohol are all absorbed through the stomach lining, that sort of thing, to a small degree anyways. Like I said before in the last video, the majority of your digestion happens in your small intestine. The digestion of food, now called, basically once it gets into your stomach, starts to digest a little bit, basically in that meaning, in this part, once it's somewhat digested, it is called chyme or chim, whatever you want to call it, whatever the appropriate definition is. And it leaves the stomach by passing through another sphincter. So down here you have another sphincter. So you have one here and you have one here. So basically this chyme's partially digested and it leaves the stomach down through there to your small intestine. Okay. So basically, now that it's out of the stomach, it moves into your small intestine. Like I said, 90% of absorption happens here. Basically, in your small intestine right there, like I drew, that you can see, 90% of nutrient absorption happens right here. So it gets digested here. It gets turned into a chyme at this point, or a paste, essentially. It gets squeezed out through the sphincter, and as it moves through your small intestine, 90% of the nutrients are absorbed here and pushed out into your circulatory system. Okay. The liver and pancreas help the small intestine to maximize absorption, meaning the liver and small intestine, the liver and your pancreas inject insulin and other enzymes to help absorb fats or help break down other parts of your food. Your small intestine is broken down into 3 parts. The 3 parts are as follows. Your first part is, I'm going to bring this over here so you guys get an idea. All right. Now, do you see this part where it bends right here? The stomach? It bends right here. This is called the duodenum. Okay? The duodenum is this bendy-like structure. This is basically where it will connect to your small intestine. Okay? No, scratch that. The duodenum. Forgive me. I'm going to write that on the board here so you guys get an idea. Because I might not be pronouncing these appropriately. Okay? And this is the stomach connection to small intestine. Okay? That's what that is. Now, the duodenum, duodenum, is where the majority of absorption takes place. The duodenum are basically, you see all these little curves in your, see all the little curves inside of your intestine right here? These curves or moving around are called your duodenum. That's basically where most of your absorption takes place. That sort of thing, okay? Those are the 2 that I want to go over. Those are the 2 that I care about for right now, okay? And let's keep going, shall we? Now, I talked about how inside of here, I said that the liver and your pancreas inject stuff in here. Let's go over some of that stuff. So your liver makes a few different things. It makes bile. Okay, bile gets injected in here. Basically what bile does, basically the liver makes bile and then it is stored in your gallbladder. And then your gallbladder injects it into here. And what's it for? What's bile for? Bile basically digests fat for you or breaks it down so that you have a usable means to use it, I guess. Okay? Your pancreas, on the other hand, produces an enzyme known as insulin or glycogen. Insulin is basically something that takes insulin is produced to store fat on your body or help get rid of sugar and store it on your body, whereas glycogen is produced to take sugar and fat off of your body to have it be digested. Okay. I think, okay, and now we're going to move into the large intestine for the end here. The large intestine is connected to your small intestine. The large intestine is used for water absorption. What's it for? Absorbs water. I'm just going to H2O from your food, okay? Or the chyme, or that paste of food that you use now, okay? It's used for water absorption. It produces vitamin K and some B vitamins using the helpful bacteria that live inside of yourselves. So those are very important for you to survive, that sort of thing, okay? All leftover waste that we don't need, if it's not vitamin K, if it's not vitamin B, if it's not water, it's secreted out of you through your anal cavity. Okay. Now, I went over this kind of quickly, so let's kind of review real quick. You have your food, you're swallowing it through your esophagus. This wave-like motion gets your esophagus or the food in your esophagus go to your stomach. This is called prosalis. Okay, it's a wave-like motion. Then inside of your stomach, it moves through a sphincter, and inside your stomach you have muscles that basically move your food around to mix with an acid. You have three different things in your stomach. You have a stomach acid that obviously digests your food a little bit, but also gets rid of harmful bacteria and enzymes, and viruses. You have enzymes inside your stomach that are secreted to help digest protein. And then you have a mucus that lines the inside of your stomach so that you don't go digesting the inside of your stomach. Then at this point it becomes a chyme or a paste. It gets secreted or pushed out into your. It gets secreted through the duodenum, and then which is the stomach connection to your intestine, to which it moves through the duodenum, which are these curves inside of your small intestine, and this is where 90% of nutrient absorption happens. And then at which point the liver and gallbladder inject bile to digest fat. And then this thing connects to your large intestine, which basically is there to absorb H2O or water. Okay, and that, kiddos, is pretty much our entire chapter of notes that I want to go over, some of the more important things. All right.